helping you put the big P in profession. Here's our career Sherpa, Julie Bauke.
Yes, sir. Julie, day off today. She's got stuff going on. She's been a little busy, and the show always goes on. You're on the bus or under the bus. In this case, AI is rewriting what entry-level means in the workforce. Normally, you get an entry-level job, and you'd start out learning, from the ground up, build from the ground up. That's not true anymore because of AI. What's happening is companies are automating those tasks that were previously done by entry-level employees. And so what that means is if you're a new graduate, those employers expect you to have advanced skills on day one. There's no learning curve anymore because the easy stuff they got AI doing. You're going to have to really jump into the fray here. Joining the show is the co-founder and chief strategy officer at Kingsley Gate. They are a global executive search firm. They look for CEOs and C-suite members, and his name is Umesh Ramakrishnan joining the show this morning. How are you?
I'm good, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I bet. This is a game changer. I don't think enough people realize that. We know about AI. All of us use AI in some way, shape, or form in the course of our jobs and our workday. Makes things easier. But we know, like, when the computers came to play, if you've been around back then, going, it's going to make your job so much easier. You're going to have all this time. And it doesn't. You just get more work piled on you. I think the same thing is true with any technology. AI is no different. But this one changes it because now you have to come in almost, not, I wouldn't say an expert in your field, but the bar has been raised. What are you going to see? How do you close that gap, I guess, then between college graduates and that new workforce?
Well, I don't even know if game changer sums it up, Scott. I think we are at an existential moment here because if you have always had a social contract, right? You go to school, whether it's a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree, you graduate, and as a result, you get a job, and you work your way up to middle management and hopefully to top management. Mm-hmm. But if there is no bottom rung at all left, then what do? Why would you even want to go to school? Right. Because, we spend all the time and money. So what really needs to happen now is actually more focus on the universities and colleges and schools rather than the corporations. So, we've always taken our seniors and found positions for them. That's the social contract I spoke about. Or if you're a junior or a sophomore, you find internships for them. Mm-hmm. Well, now I think you need to put the whole thing on its head. You need to start placing freshmen in companies. And what I mean by that is if the company itself can help with the college education cost, then the 4 years that the student spends there is focused on getting ready for the second tier inside the company, not the entry level, which means universities have to completely rethink their strategy. I had 2 company presidents at my home this weekend, and I floated this idea, and they said, that is a radical idea. That's the kind of stuff we should be doing because if we don't do anything, these poor kids, they're not going to have a job.
It's exactly what we've seen in the trade industry down at the other end in blue-collar work, and that is companies going, hey, we don't have enough talent. What we have to do is not only recruit them, pay for their school, essentially. You guarantee they're going to work for us for a few years to kind of pay that, but we will educate them, train them our way, and we'll train that workforce. That's been going on in the trades for quite some time. It sounds like that's the way colleges should be headed.
That's exactly the way it should be headed. And by the way, companies have a vested interest because it's the entry-level positions that fill the middle-level positions 3, 4, 5 years down the road. If you have nobody at the bottom rung, how are they going to fill those positions 5 years from now? So they will have interest. They will fund this. But universities need to take that first step. And by the way, high schools will also be involved. Just imagine a high school administrator. He or she wants to place their students in those colleges that do this and not colleges that are waiting for 4 years to see if they can get the kid a job or not.
As a result, then, Umesh, are we going to see colleges refine their curricula, so to speak? Because let's face it, the first 2 years of college, there's a lot of filler in there. The idea of you're becoming more well-rounded as educator. I'm taking sociology classes and I'm taking psychology and all these electives and things. Is that going to go away as the knife gets sharpened?
Well, tongue in cheek, Scott, I think drinking beer in the first 2 years is going to be a past experience because I think what's going to need to happen is these students that come out of high school, just like you pointed out in what's been happening on the blue collar side, they need to jump head in and get experience, practical experience, be actually at company sites. So yes, the curriculum needs to change, not little, dramatically. They have to invert the pyramid and start getting practical experience on day one.
Is that a lot to ask of an incoming college freshman, someone who may be 16, 17 years old in some cases, that essentially they have to figure out what they want to do 4 years later and later in their life and honing that and going, okay, well, I've got to make a commitment. When I go to college, it's not about me figuring it out along the way and maybe changing and my major subtly here and there. I've got to commit to a company and an enterprise, which I don't, I have no idea if this is what I want to do with my life, but that's a major commitment. That changes the whole college dynamic as well.
This is what I meant by existential, Scott. Nobody's ready for this. You mentioned this is another technology. There's one massive difference with what we are calling technology here. This technology can reason, has logic, and is intelligent enough to think. When you have something like that and you build agents that do that, thousands of them are going to be built. The good news is the kids in high school are already being exposed to this. Mm-hmm. So unlike you and I think you're going to start seeing a maturity level in high school graduates more than we've ever seen before. But there is going to take some time. It's going to be some lag between now and when we reach that maturity. So yes, I think we're going to see a bloodbath, not just in entry-level jobs, but in children and kids making decisions about careers that they're not quite ready for.
Are we going to see then, as a result of this, that colleges become more selective, that fewer young people go to college because of what you're asking of them, that we're getting rid of general education requirements? And I mean, let's face it, if you're going to get an internship as a freshman or sophomore at a big company, let's say Procter & Gamble here in Cincinnati, you don't have any marketable skills that are useful to them. There's a disconnect there. Are we just going to see colleges revert back to the brightest of the bright who wind up going there, as opposed to, trying to get as many young people to go to college as possible?
Yeah, part of this redesign has to be evaluating what students what students can do, what the university needs to do in that particular company. You mentioned Procter & Gamble. So if Procter & Gamble is looking for somebody to go enter the marketing function, then it falls on the university to determine which student is best suited for that. So yes, as a result, Scott, I think universities and companies are going to become far more selective, and that is going to cause a construction in the workforce again.
Much like
any way you look at this, this is going to be a massive problem.
Like law school, for example, they'll go and actively recruit the brightest of the bright. Will we start seeing that with high school students, where companies actually come in and go, here's your top 10 students, or there's a particular they're actually scouting high school students to work for them and will pay for your college along the way. Is that going to happen?
Well, look, a lot of what you and I are talking about is looking through a crystal ball, right? No, nobody is absolutely sure. But if you're asking me my opinion, I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
He is Umesh Ramakrishnan. He is a co-founder, chief strategist at Kingsley Gate. They're a global executive firm, CEO, C-suite people. And talk about the massive change here with AI coming along, that entry-level jobs, largely as we know them in the workforce, and we're talking about white-collar work predominantly, are going to go away because companies are automating those tasks, assigning to AI. Entry-level employees aren't doing the basic bottom-level stuff. They have to come in pretty hot. They're raising the bar for new graduates, and they expect advanced skills on day one because the menial tasks are being done by AI. You better bring something to the table. This almost has to change high school, and it certainly changes what college looks like, where you're actually becoming an intern in a company your freshman year, and the classes you take are going to be more specific to that occupation. The idea of figuring it out as you go to college has been dead for a while because of the costs, Umesh, but it's more so now because of the demand for your talent. So when you say real entry-level work starting freshman year, are you talking, is that a paid internship, unpaid internship, co-ops entirely? Is it something different? What does that look like?
Well, the way I see it, like I said, the company has a vested interest in this, right? I mean, they need to be filling these positions 4 or 5 years down the road. So they want the best and the brightest, and they want to train them in a specific way. Procter & Gamble may want one thing, but Kroger may want something else. Yeah. And so the company, because of that reason, should pay, if not a significant amount, a reasonable amount for that education. So I do believe you're going to see that.
Interesting. So from your executive search perspective, are companies that eliminate or over-credential entry-level positions, are they shooting themselves in the foot long-term by not developing their own pipeline for talent?
They absolutely are. One of the things in our business is we talk to CEOs around the world every day. And I can tell you, I haven't spoken to one CEO who's not concerned about this issue. And, it's sort of kicking the can down the road, right? Because right now there's no problem. Right now, earnings are up. You're increasing productivity because you don't have anybody to hire at the bottom end. But everybody knows that that's going to just cause a problem 3 to 4 years from now.
Yeah. Well, with AI taking over the low-level work, the rote work that internships used to train for, wasn't that also valuable for teaching them how to work in a workplace, professional norms and work ethic and attention to detail, organizational culture? That's where you learn all that stuff and just kind of do menial tasks. If that goes away, what does that do to that whole model then?
I don't think it goes away, Scott.
Okay.
I think actually it gets enhanced because if you're, we believe, which I agree with you, if internships help in that regard,
right.
Imagine if you're doing this almost full time through college. I envision a lot of these classes will be held on campus, not the university campus, but corporate campus. So, these kids coming out of high school are probably going to get exposed to things that you and I got exposed to maybe 2-3 years after graduating.
Yep.
So I think that internship model is going to get expanded to a work-study model in the not-too-distant future.
Is it over for the liberal arts degree programs?
It's funny you bring that up. I don't think so. I don't know what it'll look like, but one of the biggest things that students need to focus on is critical thinking. And liberal arts is probably the best area in humanities in college where students develop that. How they develop that to control AI, I think, still remains to be seen.
Interesting. Okay, if you look across global markets where you place executives with your company, Umesh, are you seeing this crisis across, is it just America? Is it across all countries, industries, and sectors? Or are there ones that are still having that traditional talent pipeline?
I don't know a single sector or a single geography where this is not a crisis in the making. Now, again, if you look at it today, through today's lens, there is no crisis. Companies are actually enjoying record profits because, you're hiring fewer people and productivity is up. Mm-hmm. But anybody who's looking even through a lens of a 2 to 3 year in the future, it's not just a small crisis. Like I said, it's an existential one.
So who's responsible for fixing this? You mentioned high school, you mentioned universities, it's employers, it's government. They all have got to work together, I guess. It's all of them?
It's all of them. But I think it starts at the universities. I think universities need to seriously consider this because for them, it's a business problem too, right? I mean, as soon as everybody realizes that going to college for 4 years and spending a large amount of money is not going to end in a job, why would you want to go to college? Yeah. You better change the model to attract the students because they're talking about a livelihood for them for the rest of their life.
Boy, I mentioned the areas that be responsible for this, and it strikes me as universities would dig their heels in to resist this with everything in their might, simply because it threatens the traditional learning model. And anything that threatens the past is a threat to the future, is a real concern for the future. I think you're going to see colleges, there's probably ones that won't submit to this, and they'll probably perish because of those decisions. Would you agree?
Two things will cause that for them to perish. Either fear or arrogance. Mm-hmm. Fear because they don't know what to do, or arrogance like this will not impact us. If they display either one of those two characteristics, Scott, I think they're finished.
All right, so let's pivot then to this. Outside of universities, high school, what about mom and dad? What about kids? You have a younger child now, let's say. How are you preparing them for all this?
That is probably the toughest job. Being a parent is the toughest job to begin with. And now if you've been told suddenly, let's say you have a kid in high school, mm-hmm. you had this plan in your head for the last, 12, 14 years. You even have a 529 going, and now you have to deal with this. This is outside my lane in terms of parent counseling, Scott. Yeah. But having then gone through it with my son, who's now fortunately in the workplace already and therefore a little bit immune from this, I think that is the biggest challenge, is for parents in terms of how to guide the children forward.
I have no idea how you'd on-ramp them to this and go, okay, it's all going to change in the next few years. And I don't know if that's more core classes, more STEM, and depending what you want to do, because now you're asking, hell, if you're a parent, listen to this, going, wait a minute, you're telling me that now my, 13, 14-year-old kid who most days I got to scream at it because they're missing the bus and you can't find their shoes in the morning and everything. All of a sudden they got to decide what it is they want to do when they're my age. Like, that's a tough ask.
It is a incredibly tough ask. Imagine asking a 16-year-old to start making decisions inside of a corporation. I mean, some of these guys don't know what to have for lunch. We've all been through that. So they're now making decisions. This is not going to be easy, and there's going to be a lot of upheaval, but it needs to start. I mean, universities need to start planning this shift today.
Yeah, but Umesh, will we? Because we don't like change at all, and certainly universities are, they're held in tradition, and you have a legacy there. You have tenured professors. You have unions. I just don't see that happening until it becomes a crisis. Now, some might and pivot early and say, hey, listen, we got to peel the Band-Aid off and do this, but I would suggest most wouldn't.
Well, we've seen this through history, though, right, Scott? I mean, we did love the horse and buggy, and we could have stuck with that, and then it'd take you, 6 days to get to New York. So I think eventually people will see it. My fear is that the disruption will happen before the realization, and if that's the case, all of us in trouble.
All right. He is the co-founder and chief strategy officer at Kingsley Gate. They're a global executive search firm. And it's Umesh Ramakrishnan in for Julie this morning on 700 WLW. Thanks again for joining. It was really informative.
Thank you, Scott. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. That's a wake-up call right there. College, we know college is in crisis right now, and it's been crouched for a while, but this is an absolute mind-blowing proposition. Pretty exciting, actually. So now you can go look at your 14, 15-year-old going, oh, my God, how are we going to do this? Yeah, good luck with that one. Let me get a news update in and more to follow. It's Scott Sloan